Welcome in, comrades. My name is Jack Sperry, and this is the Commanders Report. On today's show, I'm going to be breaking down a mega mock draft here, 3-round mock draft from ESPN draft analysts Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay have some very interesting picks for your Washington Commanders. But before we break down the 3 picks that they have the Commanders having here in the first 3 rounds, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me if you want Commanders draft coverage here right leading up to the 2023 NFL Draft. We're going to have Commanders rumors here on the channel just about every single day. We're going to have prospect analysis, some prospect rankings for you guys. We got a bunch of stuff coming up here on the show in the coming week or so. And then, of course, we got Commanders mock drafts. I'm going to be putting out my official Commanders mock draft here over the next week here before we get things going in Kansas City. So if you want comprehensive Commanders coverage for the NFL Draft here on YouTube, this is the perfect place for you. Click that subscribe button for me right now. And in round 1, Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay have the Commanders taking offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of the University of Tennessee. Man, this guy's a fantastic prospect, 6'6", 335 pounds. This guy is an absolute beast. This is what Todd McShay had to say about this pick. I know Washington just signed Andrew Wiley, but Wright is an excellent run blocker who could be a long-term solution at right tackle. And if the Commanders want, they could bump him inside as a rookie. Wright plays with power and quickness to open running lanes and stall pass rush attempts. Now, I don't personally hate this pick. Maybe I don't love this pick because he just signed Andrew Wiley to be your right tackle. I think Charles Leno Jr. at your left tackle spot is pretty darn decent. But, Darnell Wright, he can come in and he can play probably offensive guard year 1. Andrew Norwell didn't have a great 2022 campaign, but, Wright can come in and play both tackle and guard in camp and try to compete for a spot. And I think he's talented enough where he'll find a spot, whether it be at a guard position, whether it be a tackle position. If the Commanders end up drafting this guy out of Tennessee, this mauler, I think that he's going to fit in somewhere in that starting rotation. But I don't love this pick because you leave Deonte Banks and Joey Porter Jr., 2 potential cornerback ones in the National Football League, some true lockdown guys on the board. I am particularly high on Deonte Banks. He is a very intelligent player. He played every single coverage in the book at Maryland. But Joey Porter Jr., man, if he's here too, you got to look at him as well. Very rangy corner. I think that both of these guys I would take over an offensive tackle, and then maybe can address that offensive line a little bit in the middle rounds. But you take a look at Darnell Wright and my scouting report for him. I think that he's got great size, man. 6'6", 342 was what he was listed at Tennessee. Power, he's got power for days, man. This guy is, along with that size and power, though, he can move a little bit, too. He can fit into a zone scheme if you need to, and he's got that prototypical length that you look for in an NFL tackle. But the cons are some of the balance issues at times. Being that size, it can be tough to stay low and stay balanced in your pass sets at times. But I thought he did a pretty good job of that at the Senior Bowl, so he might have alleviated some of those concerns for some of these teams. And then he might not be a left tackle, but that's okay because the Commanders don't really need a left tackle, in my opinion. I'm a fan of Charles Leno Jr. On the left side of the Commanders' offensive line depth chart right now. And they got Andrew Wiley that you bring in free agency, and you got Sam Cosmi, Andrew Norwell. And then, if you draft Darnell Wright here, he's, like I say, he's going to compete for a spot, and I think that Darnell Wright is better than one of these gentlemen, whether it be Wiley at right tackle, whether it be Andrew Norwell at that left guard position. If you draft Darnell Wright, you're going to make your offensive line better. So at the end of the day, this is a pretty decent pick, in my opinion. So get in the comments section right now and tell me, what is your one-word reaction to this pick that Todd McShay has for the Commanders drafting offensive tackle out of Tennessee, Darnell Wright? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here on YouTube, just go ahead, go into the comment section, find that pinned comment, and answer today's question. All right, so now in round 2, now we're on to Mel Kiper Jr., who has this pick here in round 2, and he has the Commanders taking cornerback Kelee Ringo out of the Georgia Bulldogs. This is what Mel had to say about this pick. Ringo is a boom or bust defender, and some scouts believe he'll eventually move to safety. He is worth a flyer in round 2 because of his traits, though. If he puts his tools together, the Commanders could get a steal. Now, you take a look at my scouting report for Kelee Ringo out of the Georgia Bulldogs. Here, he's got great size at 6'1", 207 pounds. He ran a 4.36 at the combine this year. That is lightning fast for that kind of size. He plays with great physicality. If he gets his hands on you as a wide receiver, you are just done. This guy is super, super strong as a defensive back here. And then his run defense, he's a good tackler. You don't have to worry about him in the screen game. This guy is a solid tackler. He's going to be a good player for you in that regard. But the cons are here, and this is why I think he might translate a little bit better as a strong safety in the National Football League. The hip fluidity and the short area quickness just aren't what you look for in NFL cornerbacks. This guy has no trouble getting going, and he's got good speed. But the problem with him is that he can't stop. And if you can't stop as a cornerback, you are going to get lost against some of these guys like the Devontae Adamses and the great route runners, because they can stop on a dime. And if you can't do that, you can't match that level. I mean, if you're that fast and at that size, it's going to be really, really hard to stop. So I think he's more of a strong safety, and I'd rather go corner in round 1 here instead of round 2 if I were the Washington Commanders. You got some really good players for the Commanders there in round 1. I think if you look at the Commanders depth chart, you kind of need more of a cornerback 1. But let me tell you why I don't love this pick for Kelee Ringo here. Washington is in win-now mode. Ron Rivera's job is on the line. He is on the hot seat with a new owner coming in. He's going to have to prove his worth to this organization next year. They need to make the playoffs. And I don't think they have time for Ringo to really develop those traits that he has. If you take a look at the Commanders' cornerback depth chart right now, I like Kendall Fuller, but I'm not sure if he's a true cornerback 1. This is why I think you should go corner in round 1, because all those top guys that have the potential to be true lockdown number 1 cornerbacks in the National Football League are going to be found in round 1. For me, Christian Gonzalez is that number 1 guy that I would target if I were Ron Rivera. He played in a very similar defense with the Oregon Ducks that he would be playing in Washington. He is fantastic at off-zone coverage. He is the perfect fit for the Commanders. But if you can get Devin Witherspoon, Deonte Banks, or Joey Porter Jr. in round 1, I would pull that trigger, because if you want to add that true number 1 presence in your secondary, in your cornerback room, you're going to have to do it in round 1. You can address tight end later. You can address offensive line later. I think that if you're in round 1, especially in this scenario where you had Deonte Banks and Joey Porter available to you at number 16 overall, I think that's when you have to pull the trigger at the cornerback position. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Should cornerback be the top round 1 priority for your Washington Commanders? Let me know in the comments section by typing Y for yes or type N for no. Then in round 3, I'm pretty sure we're back to Mel Kiper again. Yes, we are. And he has the Commanders taking tight end Zack Kuntz out of Old Dominion. And man, this guy is an absolute freak of nature, man. 6'8", 251 pounds, ran a 4.5 at the NFL Combine. This guy had a perfect 10 relative athletic score at the Combine. It was one of the best Combine performances we have ever seen. You cannot find a better physical specimen at the tight end position than Zack Kuntz. This is what Mel Kiper Jr. had to say about Kuntz, about the Kuntz pick here in round 3. At 6'7", 253 pounds, Kuntz ran a 4.55 second 40-yard dash at the Combine. One of the best times from any tight end there. He has a ways to go, but to become a complete player, though, in Washington, he could sit behind Logan Thomas and use 2023 as a redshirt year. Now, let's take a look at his relative athletic score, because it's extremely impressive. Great to elite in every single category, man. You see that 4.55 at like 6'8". Like, this guy is a fantastic physical specimen, and you might be wondering, how is this guy not going in round 1? Well, it's because he's been injured. He's had a bunch of different roadblocks throughout his career. You take a look at the last 2 years there at Old Dominion. He had a knee injury, which ended his 2022 season early, only played in 5 games, but he did have 2 touchdowns. But in the 2021 season, where he actually got a full year in, he had 73 catches, just under 700 yards, 9.5 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. And on film, guys, I like the way this guy plays. You would think that, the production's not there, so the tape wouldn't be that good. I think this guy actually moves pretty darn well at his size, and I think it backs up what we saw from him at Indianapolis. I think that once those top-tier guys at the tight end position, like Dalton Kincaid, all these different players, Michael Mayer, once those guys are off the board, Kuntz is going to be right in that next tier. I think that, you put him on this Commanders roster. You got Logan Thomas, who's pretty darn good. He's pretty solid, but he's no Travis Kelce, right? We know that Eric Bieniemy, the new offensive coordinator, is coming in, and he wants that true receiving threat at this position. And if you miss out on Dalton Kincaid, if you are the Washington Commanders, you can go ahead and get this guy that many people are calling a diamond in the rough, a perfect 10. Relative athletic score, I think he's got some really good tape to back it up as well. Now, he is getting a bit older. I think he's 24, 25 years old. Can't remember which one there, but this guy is getting up there. So he's going to have to play, and he's going to have to produce relatively early. And we know that with tight ends, they usually take a couple of years to develop. Kuntz doesn't have that time afforded to him. He needs to come in, and he has to learn the ropes really, really quickly, despite not a lot of playing time, if I'm being completely honest with you. He's got the tools. He's got the skills. I think that in round 3 is probably about right for him. And if you miss out on Dalton Kincaid, if you are the Commanders, let's say you take cornerback in round 1 and Kincaid's gone by your second round pick, you can go and get a guy like Kuntz in round 3 and you're going to be just fine. So at the end of this Commanders draft haul here, this mock draft from Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay, here is what they have the Commanders grabbing: Darnell Wright, offensive tackle in round 1. Then you got Kelee Ringo, cornerback out of Georgia, in round 2. And then we just discussed Zack, tight end out of Old Dominion. Let me know what you guys think of this draft haul here in the comments section. Grade this mock draft from ESPN for me right now. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this one. For me, I'm going to give it a B-. I think I definitely would have gone corner in round 1. I think that Washington is kind of in a win now kind of scenario, but you kind of get a developmental tight end in Zack Kuntz. You get a developmental corner in Kelee Ringo. I think that Ron Rivera and this Commanders front office is going to be trying to get players that can contribute right away so they can make the playoffs in 2023 and potentially save Ron Rivera's job. All right, that's going to do it for today's show, guys. I really do appreciate you. If you want additional content from me, you can go to my Twitter here at Jack_Sperry. My DMs are open. If you want to talk about football, you got a question about the draft or the Commanders, just let me know. And then, of course, I've got my dedicated Commanders page at Sperry_Hogs. And if you follow that one, guys, if you give me a follow on my Commanders page, I will give you a follow back. I appreciate you, comrades. I will see you guys later. Peace.